Have you ever lived in a town where 50% of the people, uh, in a matter of a year or two, became Christians? Have you been in a town where people, where most of the people talking about sports, clothing, cars, anything else? The majority of the town speaks about Jesus. Well, this is not a town that's right now. That's right now. But in 1731, this was a town where Jonathan Edwards used to live. 1731 was a time of great revival. And Jonathan Edwards was a pastor. He was only 28 years old. And he was the pastor. And there's a great revival going around in the United States. It's called the Great Awakening. And there's a great awakening in the United States, in the 13 colonies, because it wasn't a country yet. The 13 colonies, there's a great awakening. And there's people giving their lives to God everywhere you go. Towns were completely turned over they were completely turned to Jesus. You go drive and there were evangelistic meetings going on. People wanted to know Jesus and they wanted to see what was all about. There was a great awakening to know about Jesus. But one of the things that Jonathan Edwards noticed, he noticed something that nobody else noticed. He noticed that it was the young people who led this great awakening. It was the very young people of that time that were the ones that were leading this great awakening over there in that time, 1731. And he says this: when God begins a new movement of His Spirit, He often uses young people at the heart of it. When God begins a new ministry, a new movement of His Spirit, He often uses young people at the heart of it. As all of us know, we know that all the denominations that we know now, they started by young people. They started by movements of young people in their 20s, early 20s, late 20s, teenagers. And this is actually, our church is one of the examples. Our church was founded by young people who wanted to share about God, about Jesus, and who wanted to see Jesus come soon. You know, and I wonder, where is the young people of today? Where are the young people that can help us lead the next movement, the third great awakening in our times? I think our church, not only this church, but I think overall the church all around the United States, the Adventist church, have not done a good job training the young adults, the teenagers, to become the new leaders of the church. I believe that we have not done such a good job at training our kids, our young people, to become the new leaders of our church. And one of the things I see in the Bible that Jesus turned the keys to the new generation. So today, if we want to reach that generation of people that we are not reaching out, I think we need to do some study. And I'm going to show you, so for that study, I'm going to show you some information, and we want to go back in history. We want to go back in history talking about generations. Generation of the builders. Everybody knows about the builders generation. It's also known as the greatest generation ever. They're also known as the silent generation. They are born between the years 1929 and 1945. Their form of communication is mail, radio, and telegraph. They value stability and traditional values. They tend to stick to brands they trust. Then there's a lot of more information, but that's just the main ones. Then we have the baby boomers. This is one of the largest generations that we have seen. They were born between the years 1946 and 1964. And their main way of communicating was the mail, not the email, but mail, radio, phone, and TV, black and white. That's the baby boomers. That's one of the characteristics of the baby boomers. That's how they grew up. Generation X uh, is they were born between the years 1965 and 1982, and now their form of communication is email, color TV, phone, and all. I forgot to. I messed up over there, but they are resourceful, they are independent, and they are good at maintaining work-life balance. Then we have the following generation. We have the millennials. 1983, they were born between the years 1983 and 2000. And their form of communication is email, the internet, apps, social media. And then we have this generation that our church is not reaching and we don't have. It's the Generation Z, or the Gen Zers. These kids were born in the year, they're not kids, they're adults actually, young adults. They were born in the years 2001 and 2012. And this is the generation called the Generation Z, or Gen Zers. And let's talk about a little bit about them. Generation Z, or Gen Zers. One of the characteristics of them is that they have instantaneous access to almost any information they want. Any information they want, they can find it at the tip of their phone, at the tip of their fingers. 9/11 and the Persian War is ancient history to them. Some of them don't even remember. Some of them were just 1 year old when that happened. They don't have a recollection of a time when our country was not at war. Ever since they were born, everything has been about wars. Social media, one of the form of communication is no longer cable TV or phone calls or any of that. The form of communication and entertainment are social media and streaming devices like Hulu, Netflix, YouTube, and they communicate well with social media. And you might say, well, that generation is lost, that generation is doing bad things. But let me tell you something, that's who they are. That's the generation that's Generation Z, the Gen Zers, that's who they are. That's what embodies them. So they're really into streaming devices, Hulu, Netflix, and YouTube. It is the largest generation ever, bigger than the baby boomers. They're the largest generation ever. This generation doesn't have a recollection of a time when our country was not at war. They don't know how a cassette tape works. They have instantaneous access to any information they want. Let's see more about them. Gen Zers characteristics. One of the things they are known for is that they are more private. They are more private, they are more individualistic, independent, with the majority preferring to learn alone, be alone, than past generations. They struggle with mental health. This generation, Gen Zers, they struggle with mental health. This generation of kids and teens suffer from mental health problems than any other generation before. Third is that they are more tech savvy. They know how to maneuver computers, anything that has electronics. They are more at home on a screen than previous generations. They have laptops, they have smartphones, tablets, and they spend, this is true, they spend the equivalent of a full-time job every day on their devices. They are growing also. Fifth, they are growing too slow and too fast, if that makes any sense. They are growing too slow in a way that this generation is taking longer for them to leave home. They're staying home more. They're more dependent from their parents, way more dependent on their parents. And they're also too slow also because most of them, they are, when you wanted to get your license, when you were 16, 17. This generation is taking a lot longer. They're getting their licenses in their early 20s or mid-20s. So they're growing too slow, but at the same time, they're growing too fast because they have so much information in their minds. So they're growing too slow and too fast. Parents also nurture them because of violence of schools. So that is one of the reasons they are staying longer home, because their parents, because of the violence in schools, their parents are taking care of them at home. And they, when they get 18, they tend to stay there longer. There's nothing wrong with that. This is some of the characteristics that identifies them, Gen Zers. They are more entrepreneurial. And this is very true, because most of Gen Zers, they rather do some type of business. They want to do some type of eBay or Amazon sellers. They wanted to sell something. They have this mindset of starting their own business. They feel that they can create their own company or freelance all through their 20s. They want to create something new from home, as their expectations for work have been dashed by 2 recessions since 2000. They want to do something they love and enjoy, and not something that won't even cost money. They want to do something, and this is something positive, because they want to do something they love. And last one of the characteristics of Gen Zers is that they want to serve. They want to have an impact in their communities, mission trips and clinicals and help. If you notice, kids between the years 12 to 26 years old, one of the things that you notice is that they come together when they want to do something for the community. When I was in school, a lot of the kids there were in that age. They wanted to go on missionary trips. They want to do clinicals. They wanted to have some type of clinics. So one of the characteristics that they have is that they want to serve.